Hi everyone, welcome to Chapter 5, Mathematics of Merchandising. We will jump ahead to here. So basically, merchandising is products that are being produced, maybe even services that are being produced, and starting at the manufacturer or the producer and going to the ultimate customer. Okay, and the manufacturer is figuring out how much these products are costing them to make, and that could be a coffee cup at a manufacturer that ultimately the cup is going to end up at Walmart, or it could be a winery in the Annapolis Valley that they're producing the wine, and ultimately the consumer will go directly to the winery and purchase the product. Okay, but ultimately it all deals in marking up, marking down, or trade discounts. And how this works is the products move through a distribution chain or a merchandising chain. Sometimes you hear it referred to as a supply chain. And it starts at the manufacturer. Sometimes, as I mentioned, it can go directly to the retail store and to the ultimate consumer or customer. Sometimes it goes through many levels, including a distributor, then a wholesaler, and then a retailer, and then a consumer. So as we're going through this, the manufacturer, after they've created the actual product and figured out what the cost of that product was to make, they may decide on what's referred to as a list price. This is the price that ultimately we feel that the consumer should be paying for this product. Okay, so that's the manufacturer deciding what the consumer should pay. Well, going through all these other levels, the distributor, the wholesaler, and the retailer, they're not going to pay the ultimate list price that the consumer is going to pay. They're going to want a discount. Okay, and that's what's referred to as a trade discount. So if the manufacturer is selling to a distributor, the distributor is going to want to be able to make a profit when they sell it to the wholesaler, who ultimately sells it to the retailer, who sells it to the consumer. So when we're looking at a formula to figure out what the net price is that maybe the distributor pays based on what the trade discount is that the manufacturer is giving them. So the formula is the net price, or the price that they're going to pay, equals what the list price was minus the discount that they're given. Okay? So again, how we figure out what the list price is, we figure out what the trade discount percentage is and multiply that by the list price. So ultimately the formula is the net price, or the price that that level is going to pay, whether it's a distributor, wholesaler, or retailer, is the list price, multiply that by 1 minus the trade discount. So let's look at an example. It's so much easier that way. So this is just the formula that represents these words here, okay? The net price is the list price, multiply that by 1 minus the discount. So if the manufacturer is giving the distributor a 20% discount, then it would be the list price and multiply that by 1 minus 20%. So let's have a look. Okay, so the wholesaler lists an item at $117 less 20%. What is the amount of the discount and the net price to the retailer? Okay, so the wholesaler is selling to the retailer. So the wholesaler lists an item at $117, saying that that is the list price less 20%. So what is the amount of the discount? So we've got to figure out what the discount amount is, and then ultimately what the net price is that the retailer is going to pay. So starting any formula, the best thing to do, the best way to start is figure out what information you have, okay? So we're dealing with N or NP, okay, which is our net price. We're dealing with the list price, and we're dealing with a discount percentage. So right now we know that L, or the list price, is $117, and we know that the discount percentage is 20% or 0.2. So if we want to know what the amount of the discount is, we know that when we multiply 20% by the list price, that's going to give us the amount of the discount. So that's $23.40. So then to figure out the net price, we take the $117 minus the $23.40 to give us a net price of $93.60. You could do it another way if we didn't need to figure out what the amount of the discount was. If we wanted to just jump to what the net price is, remember it's L, or the list price, multiply that by 1 minus the discount rate, or the discount percentage. So then we would have taken the 117, multiply that by 1 minus 0.2, or 1 minus 0.2 is 0.8. So if we took 117, multiply that by 0.8, we would have come up with the 93.60. But we wanted to know what the amount of the discount was, which is why we used the other formula. Okay, so after a trade discount of 30%, a garage is able to purchase windshield wiper blades for a net price of $19.46. What is the list price of the blades? Okay, so my suggestion here would be to pause this video and figure out what information you have and see if you can figure out the list price. Okay, so remember, we've got the formula in a couple of different formats, but ultimately it's the net price, or N, equals the list and minus the discount amount. And remember, the discount amount is D multiplied by L. But thinking back to what we did in the review unit, maybe we need to manipulate the equation. Maybe since we have the net price, maybe we have to figure out what the equation looks like if we're solving for the list price. So give it a go, and I will solve the question now. Okay, so what we have is our net price, and we have our discount percentage. Okay, we want to substitute the values. So here we have our net price, which is the $19.46, and that equals the list, multiply that by 1 minus 0.3. Okay, so you can either solve what's in the equation and put 0.7 and put the 0.7 on the bottom, or you can put it this way right from the beginning. And remember, whatever we do to one side, we have to do to the other. So we want to get rid of the brackets, the 1 minus 0.3. So we're going to divide that side by that and then divide the other side. So that leaves us L equals 19.46 divided by 1 minus 0.3, or 0.7. Okay, so then when we do the multiplication, the division, 19.46 divided by 0.7, it gives us the list price of $27.80. Okay, so sometimes our suppliers give multiple discounts. Okay, so maybe because you're buying from them, you ultimately get one discount rate. So however many you buy, you get a 30% discount. But maybe you bought a whole bunch, so you get an extra 20% discount. And maybe it's ultimately on a promotional discount, so therefore you get another 5%. Okay? So we have to multiply all of these out separately. So it's called the equivalent discount rate, and that is the single discount rate that gives the same net price as the combined effect of the multiple discounts. So let's have a look. The wholesaler offers a trade discount of 20% and a promotional discount of 10%. How much would a retailer pay for $100 worth of goods? So that $100 worth of goods, you can assume that that is your list price, okay? And we're trying to figure out what the net price is. So we know that our list price, or L equals 100, our first discount is 20%, and our second discount is 10%. So we put it in our formula. We want to multiply the 100 by the first discount. 1 minus 0.2 gives us 0.8, and the second discount is 1 minus 0.1, or 0.9. So 100 multiplied by 0.8 multiplied by 0.9 is 72. So trying to figure out what the equivalent, because we're multiplying those together, ultimately the equivalent discount rate, if we were just to figure it out individually, we take our 100, which is our list, minus our 72, which is our net price, divided by 100. Multiply that out by 100, that gives us 28%. So they're getting a 20% discount and a 10% discount, but figuring it out what it would be equal to if it was just ultimately one discount rate, it's 28, and that's called the equivalent discount. Okay, let's try this one. The wholesaler offers a trade discount of 20% and a promotional rate of 10%. What is the equivalent discount? So here we don't have a list price, we don't have a net price, we're not even looking to find out what those prices are. We just want the equivalent discount rate. And we can get that by multiplying the two together. Okay, so we've got our discount rate and our second discount rate. We multiply those two together. So we've got ultimately the 1 minus 20%, the 1 minus 10%. Fill that in, solve for the brackets, 0.8, 0.9. That gives us our 72. That is the percentage we're paying. So therefore, 1 minus 72 is the discount, or the amount that we saved. Okay. We have a spring sale, 50% off, an extra 30% off, and an extra 20% off. Give that one a try. I will be starting a new video now for the next section. Thanks, everyone.